from their wicked ways. Then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to the prayers offered in this place. Lord, I stand here in the most beautiful building in Wisconsin, and I pray. Now, Lord God, I ask for your healing of our land, not because I am anything of special, but because you are an awesome and all-powerful God who conquered death. Heal our land, turn our hearts toward you. I pray all these things in your precious name. Amen.
Pledge of Allegiance will be led by the gentleman from the 63rd Assembly District. The first order of business is going to be the call of the roll. As we discussed, we will begin all roll call votes today with our members virtually that are participating virtually. The chief clerk will call them by last name alphabetically. Those will be followed then by the members that are physically present in the chamber alphabetically. And that's how we'll conduct all and any roll call votes today, including today's attendance roll call. So members that are participating virtually, make sure that your video are up so that we can make sure that you are physically present at your computer. And a reminder, as the chief clerk calls your name, that you need to unmute your computer so that we can hear you. So with that, the first order of business is the call of the roll. The clerk will call the roll.
Allen. Open the roll. Open.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Billings.
Here.
Bowen.
Here.
Branchton.
Here.
Brostoff.
Here.
Cabrera.
Here.
Considine.
Here.
Crowley.
Here.
Doyle.
Here.
Duco.
Here.
Edming.
Here.
Emerson.
Here.
Fields.
Do know at the end of the block at the corner.
Here.
Goike.
Here.
Krasinski.
Here.
Haywood.
I'm here. Present.
Hebel.
Here.
Hesselbein.
Here.
Horlacher.
Here.
Kitchens. Colstein.
Present.
Cope.
Here.
Mako.
Here.
Mangifici.
Here.
McGuire.
Here. Here.
Myers. Milroy.
Here.
Here.
Myers Y.
Here.
Neubauer.
Here.
Nealon.
Here.
Onstead.
Here.
Ott. Petrick.
Here.
Pope.
Here.
Brzezinski.
Here.
Quinn.
Here.
Reamer.
Here. Reamer here.
Rorecast.
Here.
San Filippo.
Here.
Sergeant.
Here.
Shanklin.
Here.
Sinicki.
Here.
Skoronsky.
Here.
Spreitzer.
Here.
Stubbs.
Here.
Stuck.
Here.
Subeck.
Here.
Tauken.
Here.
Taylor.
Here.
Vandermeer.
Here.
Vining.
Here. Fine.
Vorpagel.
Here.
Vruwink.
Here.
He's in his office. I think he could get it. Yeah. I heard Ruink.
happened. Wickers.
Here.
Zamaripa.
Here.
Zimmerman.
I'm here.
I got him.
If we could have members that are in the Capitol, please start making your way to your seats. We have a handful of people from the virtual roll call that the Chief Clerk is going to try and get.
I just have 4.
Yeah, that's what I had. Kitchens.
Again, members, virtually make sure that you're. Make sure that you have your video and audio on. Say it again for it. Say kitchens again.
Say kitchens again.
Kitchens.
No,
He said here.
yeah, but you have to hear it.
We have audio on him?
We could read lips.
Kitchens.
Here.
McGuire.
Here.
Ott.
Did you call John and tell him?
Here.
Vrewink.
Here.
Okay, yeah, it looks like you do need.
Somebody tell.
Vrewink.
We know he's here.
Say his name again.
Until they actually
Here.
give you.
Got him.
Okay, we got him all.
All the virtual.
Virtual are here. Okay, we'll start with the in-person.
August.
Here.
Ballwig. Bourne. Brooks. Dietrich. Falkowski. Gundrum. Hintz. Hutton. Jagler. James. Katzma. Kirkman. Hutton. Knudel. Krug. Kuklich. Kurtz. Loudenbeck. Murphy. Mersaw. Novak. Nygren. Oldenburg. Peterson. Plover. Rampton. Rodriguez. Schra. Snyder. Sortwell. Spiros. Staffold. Steffen. Steineke. Summerfield. Sweargen. Feastfeld. Tittle. Tranel. Tussler. Whitkey. Speaker. Bourne. Falkowski. Jagler. Katzma. Kurtz. Staffolds. Staffolds. Enough votes.
Tell him to get up here.
98, yeah, that's what I have.
There are 98 members present. A quorum is present. Members in the chamber, please take your seats. I'd ask the members in the chamber, it's going to be even more important today that we keep conversations to an absolute minimum. I need to be able to hear the virtual members. I need to be able to interact with the clerk staff from a safe distance. So I'm going to need you to keep it down for me out there today, please, and up there. Gentleman from the 24th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask a unanimous decision to grant a temporary leave for the gentleman from the 29th.
Without objection, it is so ordered. We're on the 10th order of business on today's calendar. The clerk will read the title of the bill.
Assembly Bill 1038 relating to state government response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Question is adoption of Assembly Amendment 1 to Assembly Bill 1038. Gentleman from the 5th, Representative Steinecke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move tabling.
Gentleman from the 5th moves tabling. The question is tabling of Assembly Amendment 1 to Assembly Bill 1038. All in favor of tabling will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will call the roll.
Allen.
Aye.
Anderson.
No.
Anderson, no. Allen, yet aye. Billings.
No.
Billings, no. Bowen.
No.
Bowen, no. Branchton.
Aye.
Branchton, aye. Brostoff.
No.
Brostoff, no. Cabrera.
No.
Cabrera, no. Considine.
No.
Considine, no. Crowley. Crowley.
No.
Crowley, no. Doyle.
No.
Doyle, no. Duco.
Aye.
Duco, aye. Edming. Edming.
It should be right here. Do I? Aye.
Emerson.
Aye. Or no, sorry, no.
Emerson, no. Edming, aye. Fields.
No.
Fields, no. Goike.
No.
Fields.
No.
We didn't see him last time.
No.
Goike.
No.
Goike, no. Grzinski.
No.
Grzinski, no. Haywood.
No.
Haywood, no. Hebel.
No.
Hebel, no. Horlacher.
Aye.
Horlacher, aye. Kitchens.
Aye.
Aye. Hesselbein.
No.
No. Colstein.
No.
Colstein, no. Hesselbein, no. Culp.
Aye.
Culp, aye. Mako.
Aye.
Mako, aye. Magnifici.
Aye.
Magnifici, aye. McGuire.
No.
McGuire, no. Myers.
No.
Myers, no. Milroy.
No.
Milroy, no. Myers, Y.
No.
Myers, Y, no. Neubauer.
No.
Neubauer, no. Nealon.
Aye.
Nealon, aye. Onstead.
No.
Onstead, no. Ott.
Aye.
Ott, aye. Petrick.
Aye.
Petrick, aye. Pope.
No.
Pope, no. Pronchinski.
Aye.
Pronchinski, aye. Quinn.
Aye.
Quinn, aye. Reamer. Reamer.
Reamer, no.
Reamer, no. Rohrcast.
No. Aye. Aye, I'm sorry.
Rohrcast, aye. Sanfilippo.
Aye.
Sanfilippo, aye. Sergeant.
No.
Sergeant, no. Shanklin.
No.
Shanklin, no. Sinicki.
No.
Sinicki, no. Skoronsky.
Aye.
Skoronsky, aye. Spreitzer.
No.
Spreitzer, no. Stubbs.
No.
Stubbs, no. Stuck.
No.
Stuck, no. Subeck.
Aye.
Subeck, aye. Tauken.
Aye.
Tauken, aye. Taylor.
No.
Taylor, no. Vandermeer.
Aye.
Vandermeer, aye. Vining.
No.
Vining, no. For Poggle.
Aye.
For Poggle, aye. Vruwink.
No.
Vruwink, no. Wickers.
Aye.
Wickers, aye. Zamaripa. Zamaripa.
No.
Zamaripa, no. Fields.
Still no video? Okay, go to the in-person. That was the only one we missed from virtual, right? It was Fields?
Yes.
All right, let's go in person.
In person, August.
Aye.
Ballwig. Bourne. Brooks. Dietrich. Falkowski. Gundrum. Hintz. Hutton. Jagler. James. Katzma. Kirkman. Knodel. Krug. Kuklich. Hintz. Kurtz. Loudenbeck. Murphy. Mersaw. Novak. Nygren. Oldenburg. Peterson. Plummer. Rampton. Rodriguez. Schra. Snyder. Sortwell. Spiros. Staffholt.
Gentleman from the 24th, ask unanimous consent that the lift be leaved for the Representative Staff Schultz. The gentleman from the 29th, without objection, it's so ordered. The clerk will now we'll try and catch where we have two on the virtual. Yeah, finish here.
Steffen. Steineke. Summerfield. Swearengin. Thiesfeld. Tittle. Tranel. Tussler. Whitkey. Speaker. We're going back to the virtual.
Does Fields have video
I
yet?
don't have Zimmerman.
I think it's Zimmerman.
Fields doesn't have video. Subek, we're going to call on Subek.
Did you say Zimmerman?
I haven't done him yet. Subek?
We're going to go back to Subek. Ready, Brian?
Subek!
Thank you. I would like to ask unanimous consent to have my vote changed to nay. I got flustered by a blinking mute button here.
Without objection, it's so ordered.
Zimmerman!
Aye.
Fields!
Oh, look at it.
No. No.
Who's the computer people?
No. No.
There. Now we got you. There are 99 votes. There are 63 ayes, 36 noes. The amendment is on the table. Question before the body is question is adoption of Assembly Amendment 2 to Assembly Bill 1038. Gentleman from the 5th, Representative Steinecke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move tabling.
Gentleman from the 5th moves tabling. All in favor of tabling will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will open and call the roll.
Allen.
Aye.
Allen, aye. Anderson.
No.
Anderson, no. Billings.
No.
Billings, no. Bowen.
No.
Bowen, no. Branchton.
Aye.
Branchton, aye. Brostoff.
No.
Brostoff, no.
Sorry.
Cabrera.
No.
Cabrera, no. Considine.
No.
Considine, no. Crowley.
No.
Crowley, no. Doyle.
No.
Doyle, no. Duco.
Aye.
Duco, aye. Edming.
Where's it at here? I don't see it again here now.
Edming.
Aye.
Edming, aye. Emerson.
No.
Emerson, no. Fields.
No.
Fields, no. Goyke.
No.
Goyke, no. Grzinski.
No.
Grzinski, no. Haywood.
No.
Haywood, no. Hebel.
No.
Hebel, no. Hesselbein.
No.
Hesselbein, no. Horlacher. Horlacher. Kitchens.
Aye.
Kitchens, aye. Colsty.
No.
Colsty, no. Culp.
Aye.
Culp, aye. Mako.
Aye.
Mako, aye. Magnifici.
Aye.
Magnifici, aye. McGuire.
No.
McGuire, no. Myers.
No.
Myers, no. Milroy.
No.
Milroy, no. Myers, Y.
No.
Myers, Y, no. Neubauer.
No.
Neubauer, no. Neeland.
Aye.
Neeland, aye. Onstead.
No.
Onstead, no. Ott.
Aye.
Ott, aye. Petrick.
Aye.
Petrick, aye. Pope.
No.
Pope, no. Pronchinsky.
Aye.
Pronchinsky, aye. Quinn.
Aye.
Quinn, aye. Reamer.
Reamer? No. Reamer, no.
Reamer, no. Rorecast.
Aye.
Rorecast, aye. Sanfilippo.
Aye.
Sanfilippo, aye. Sergeant.
No.
Sergeant, no. Shanklin.
No.
Shanklin, no. Sinicki.
No.
Sinicki, no. Skoronsky.
Aye.
Skoronsky, aye. Spreitzer.
No.
Spreitzer, no. Stubbs.
No.
Stubbs, no. Stuck.
No.
Stuck, no. Subek.
No.
Subek, no. Tauken.
Aye.
Tauken, aye. Taylor.
No.
Taylor, no. Vandermeer.
Aye.
Vandermeer, aye. Vining.
Vining, no.
Vining, no. Vorpagel.
Aye.
Vorpagel, aye. Vruwink.
No.
Vruwink, no. Wickers.
Aye.
Wickers, aye. Zamaripa.
No.
Zamaripa, no. Zimmerman.
Zimmerman, aye.
Zimmerman, aye. Horlacher.
Aye. Aye.
Horlacher, aye. August.
Aye.
August, aye. Ballwig. Ballwig. Ballwig, aye. Bourne. Bourne, aye. Brooks. Brooks, aye. Dietrich. Dietrich, aye. Felkowski. Felkowski, aye. Gundrum. Gundrum, aye. Hintz. Hintz, no. Hutton. Hutton, aye. Jagler. Jagler, aye. James. James, aye. Katzma. Katzma, aye. Kirkman. Kirkman, aye. Knodel. Knodel, aye. Krug. Krug, aye. Kuklich. Kuklich, aye. Kurtz. Kurtz, aye. Loudenbeck. Loudenbeck, aye. Murphy. Murphy, aye. Mersaw. Mersaw, aye. Novak. Novak, aye. Nygren. Nygren, aye. Oldenburg. Oldenburg, aye. Peterson. Peterson, aye. Plummer. Plummer, aye. Rampton. Rampton, aye. Rodriguez. Rodriguez, aye. Schra. Schra, aye. Snyder. Snyder, aye. Sortwell. Sortwell, aye. Spiros. Spiros, aye. Staffolds. Staffolds, aye. Steffen. Steffen, aye. Steinecke. Steinecke, aye. Summerfield. Summerfield, aye. Swearingen. Swearingen, aye. Thiesfeld. Thiesfeld, aye. Tittle. Tittle, aye. Tranel. Tranel, aye. Tussler. Tussler, aye. Whitkey. Whitkey, aye. Speaker. Speaker. Speaker, aye.
The clerk will close the roll. There's 63 ayes, 36 noes. The amendment is on the table. Question is adoption of Assembly Amendment 3. Question is adoption of Assembly Amendment 3 to Assembly Bill 1038. Gentleman from the 5th, Representative Steinecke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move tabling.
Gentleman from the 5th moves tabling. The question is tabling of Assembly Amendment 3 to Assembly Bill 1038. All in favor of tabling will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will open and call the roll.
Allen.
Aye.
Allen, aye. Anderson.
No.
Anderson, no. Billings.
No.
Billings, no. Bowen.
No.
Billing, as you were. Bowen, no. Branchen.
Aye.
Branchen, aye. Brostoff.
No.
Brostoff, no. Cabrera.
No.
Cabrera, no. Considine.
No.
Considine, no. Crowley. Crowley.
No. No.
Crowley, no. Doyle.
No.
Doyle, no. Duco.
Aye.
Duco, aye. Edming.
Aye.
Edming, aye. Emerson.
No.
Emerson, no. Fields.
No.
Fields, no. Goike.
No.
Goike, no. Krasinski.
No.
Krasinski, no. Haywood.
No.
Haywood, no. Hebel.
No.
Hebel, no. Horlacher. Horlacher.
Aye.
Horlacher, aye. Hesselbein.
No.
Hesselbein, no. Horlacher, aye. Kitchens.
Aye.
Hit Kitchens, aye. Colsty.
No.
Colsty, no. Culp.
Aye.
Culp, aye. Mako.
Aye.
Mako, aye. Magnifici.
Aye.
Magnifici, aye. McGuire.
No.
McGuire, no. Myers.
No.
Myers, no. Milroy.
No.
Milroy, no. Myers, Y.
No.
Myers, Y, no. Neubauer.
No.
Neubauer, no. Nealon.
Aye.
Nealon, aye. Onstead.
No.
Onstead, no. Ott.
Aye.
Ott, aye. Petrick.
Aye.
Petrick, aye. Pope.
No.
Pope, no. Pronchinski.
Aye.
Pronchinski, aye. Quinn.
Aye.
Quinn, aye. Reamer. Reamer.
Reamer, no. Reamer, no.
Reamer, no. Rorecast.
Aye.
Rorecast, aye. Sanfilippo.
Aye.
Sanfilippo, aye. Sergeant.
No.
Sergeant, no. Shanklin.
No.
Shanklin, no. Sinicki.
No.
Sinicki, no. Skoronsky.
Aye.
Skoronsky, aye. Spreitzer.
No.
Spreitzer, no. Stubbs.
No.
Stubbs, no. Stuck.
No.
Stuck, no. Subeck.
No.
Subeck, no. Tauken.
Aye.
Tauken, aye. Taylor.
No.
Taylor, no. Vandermeer.
Aye.
Vandermeer, aye. Vining.
Vining, no.
Vining, no. Vorpagel.
Aye.
Vorpagel, aye. Vruwink.
No.
Vruwink, no. Wickers.
Aye.
Wickers, aye. Zamaripa.
No.
Zamaripa, no. Zimmerman.
Aye. Zimmerman, aye.
Zimmerman.
Zimmerman,
I
aye.
didn't see him.
Zimmerman, aye. Zimmerman, aye.
Zimmerman, aye. Yes.
Amazingly, you did.
Yep, we got everybody. In person, August.
Aye.
August, aye. Ballwig. Ballwig, aye. Bourne. Bourne, aye. Brooks. Brooks, aye. Dietrich. Dietrich, aye. Felkowski. Felkowski, aye. Gundrum. Gundrum, aye. Hintz. Hutton. Hutton, aye. Jagler. Jagler, aye. James. James, aye. Katzma. Katzma, aye. Kirkman. Kirkman, aye. Knodel. Knodel, aye. Krug. Krug, aye. Kuklich. Kuklich, aye. Kurtz. Kurtz, aye. Loudenbeck. Loudenbeck, aye. Murphy. Murphy, aye. Mersaw. Mersaw, aye. Novak. Novak, aye. Nygren. Nygren, aye. Oldenburg. Oldenburg, aye. Peterson. Peterson, aye. Plummer. Plummer, aye. Rampton. Rampton, aye. Rodriguez. Rodriguez, aye. Schra. Schra, aye. Snyder. Snyder, aye. Sortwell. Sortwell, aye. Spiros. Spiros, aye. Staffoltz. Staffoltz, aye. Steffen. Steffen, aye. Steinecke. Steinecke, aye. Summerfield. Summerfield, aye. Swearingen. Swearingen, aye. Thiesfeld. Thiesfeld, aye. Tittle. Tittle, aye. Trannell. Trannell, aye. Tussler. Tussler, aye. Whitkey. Whitkey, aye. Speaker. Speaker, aye. Hintz. Hintz, no.
Clerk will close the roll. There are 63 ayes, 36 noes. The amendment is on the table. The question is adoption of Assembly Amendment 4 to Assembly Bill 1038. So there's been a request to go informal for 10 minutes. This is going to be a hard 10 minutes, not a legislative 10 minutes, a real 10 minutes. Members that are participating virtually, do not close out of your system, do not close your laptop, don't touch anything. When we come back from this 10-minute break, we expect everyone to be in the virtual queue. If you've done something to leave it, we are not going to wait to get you back up. So stay in the virtual Skype, and in 10 minutes we will return to begin discussing adoption of the amendment. The Assembly stands informal.
Did you do another one or no?
Doing good, sir.
Session. Members and visitors, please take your seats. The question before us is adoption of Assembly Amendment 4 to Assembly Bill 1038. Call on the Speaker to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendment before us has a number of important provisions that are being put in to make technical corrections to what is in the underlying bill, which we'll vote on shortly. Number one, it makes a change to allow municipalities and counties to mutually agree to waive or reduce the penalties and interest for late payment of taxes due to hardship before October 1st. So I know in the original provision there were some concerns about the financial impact that it would have on county governments. This allows counties and municipalities to negotiate to make the decision together as the best way to deal with it in their communities rather than a one-size-fits-all provision. Secondly, we are clarifying the liability protection that health providers who provide good faith to help people in this crisis are going to have, whether that's because of COVID or others in need of medical assistance because they are potentially short-staffed. We're also changing the bill to use the governor's language in terms of the flexibility for out-of-state and retired providers who would like to have the ability to work inside Wisconsin. We are putting a date certain on the changes that we are doing for the out-of-network billing. We're ending it 60 days after the end of the executive order. We are allowing additional time in a negotiation that happened between School Choice Wisconsin and DPI for them to have additional flexibility for completing the audits that are required under state law. And we are also adding forest products into the list of items that we are asking WEDC to come back to us with for a plan to help make sure that each segment of our economy is helped in the way that we certainly can. So with that, I would ask the members to vote green on the amendment, and then we'll get to the underlying bill, and I'll talk about that next. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The question before the body is adoption of Assembly Amendment 4 to Assembly Bill 1038. A roll call has been requested. All in favor of adoption will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will open and call the roll.
Allen.
Aye.
Allen, aye. Anderson.
No.
Anderson, no. Billings.
No.
Billings, no. Bowen.
Where's that coming from?
Aye.
Bowen, aye. Branston.
Aye.
Branston, aye. Brostoff.
No.
Brostoff, no. Cabrera.
No.
Cabrera, no. Considine.
No.
Considine, no. Crowley.
No.
Crowley, no. Doyle.
No.
Doyle, no. Duco. Edming.
Aye.
Edming, aye. Emerson.
No.
Emerson, no. Fields.
No.
Fields, no. Goyke.
No.
Goyke, no. Grzinski.
No.
Grzinski, no. Haywood.
No.
Haywood, no. Hebel.
No.
Hebel, no. Hesselbein.
No.
Hesselbein, no. Horlacher.
Aye.
Horlacher, aye. Kitchens.
Aye.
Kitchens, aye. Colsty.
No.
Colsty, no. Culp.
Aye.
Culp, aye. Mako.
Aye.
Mako, aye. Magnifici.
Aye.
Magnifici, aye. McGuire.
No.
McGuire, no. Myers.
No.
Myers, no. Milroy.
No.
Milroy, no. Myers, Y.
No.
Myers, Y, no. Neubauer.
No.
Neubauer, no. Nealon.
Aye.
Nealon, aye. Onstead.
No.
Onstead, no. Ott.
Aye.
Ott, aye. Petrick.
Aye.
Petrick, aye. Pope.
No.
Pope, no. Pronchinski.
Aye.
Pronchinski, aye. Quinn.
Aye.
Quinn, aye. Reamer. Reamer.
Reamer. No.
Reamer, no. Rorecast.
Aye.
Rorecast, aye. Sanfilippo.
Aye.
Sanfilippo, aye. Sergeant.
No.
Sergeant, no. Shanklin.
No.
Shanklin, no. Sinicki.
No.
Sinicki, no. Skoronsky. Skoronsky.
Aye.
Skoronsky, aye. Spreitzer.
No.
Spreitzer, no. Stubbs.
No.
Stubbs, no. Stuck.
No.
Stuck, no. Subek.
No.
Subek, no. Talkin.
Aye.
Talkin, aye. Taylor.
No.
Wait, that's not Taylor. That's Nancy.
Taylor.
No.
Taylor, no. Vandermeer.
Aye.
Vandermeer, aye. Vining. Vining.
Vining, no.
Vining, no. Vorpagel.
Aye.
Vorpagel, aye. Vruwink.
No.
Vruwink, no. Wickers.
Aye.
Wickers, aye. Zamaripa.
No.
Zamaripa, no. Zimmerman.
Aye.
Zimmerman, aye. Duco. Duco.
Aye. Duco, aye.
Duco, aye.
For what, Representative Bowen? Representative Bowen?
There we go. Asking for unanimous consent to change my vote from aye to no.
Without objection, it is so ordered.
Thank you.
August.
Aye.
August, aye. Bowig. Bowig, aye. Bourne. Bourne, aye. Brooks. Brooks, aye. Dietrich. Dietrich, aye. Falkowski. Aye. Falkowski, aye. Gundrum. Gundrum, aye. Hintz. Hintz, no. Hutton. Hutton, aye. Jagler. Jagler.
He said aye.
Jagler, aye. James. James, aye. Katzma. Katzma, aye. Kirkman. Kirkman, aye. Knodel. Knodel, aye. Krug. Krug, aye. Kuklich. Kuklich, aye. Kurtz. Kurtz, aye. Loudenbeck. Loudenbeck, aye. Murphy. Murphy, aye. Mersaw. Mersaw, aye. Novak. Novak, aye. Nygren. Nygren, aye. Oldenburg. Oldenburg, aye. Peterson. Peterson, aye. Plummer. Plummer, aye. Rampton. Rampton, aye. Rodriguez. Rodriguez, aye. Schra. Schra, aye. Snyder. Snyder, aye. Sortwell. Sortwell, aye. Spiros. Spiros, aye. Staffolds. Staffolds, aye. Steffen. Steffen, aye. Steinecke. Steinecke, aye. Summerfield. Summerfield, aye. Swearingen. Swearingen, aye. Thiesfeld. Thiesfeld, aye. Tittle. Tittle, aye. Tranel. Tranel, aye. Tussler. Tussler, aye. Whitkey. Whitkey, aye. Speaker. Speaker, aye.
The clerk will close the roll. There are 63 ayes, 36 noes. The amendment is adopted. The question is, shall Assembly Bill 1038 be engrossed and ordered to a third reading? All in favor will say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed. Gentleman from the 5th, Representative Steinecke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to suspend the rules and give AB 1038 its third reading.
Gentleman from the 5th, ask unanimous consent that the rules be suspended and Assembly Bill 1038 be given its third reading. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the clerk will read the title of the bill.
House Bill 1038, relating to state government response to COVID-19 pandemic.
The question is, having been read 3 times, shall Assembly Bill 1038 be passed? Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 54th, Representative Hintz.
Don't worry, I'm not going to wear the mask. Well, I want to say it's good to see everybody today here and virtually, and I am grateful to LTSB and to the Majority Leader's Office for their work in trying to figure out just how to do this. I don't think this is a position that anybody ever thought that they would be in, and the fact that here we are a month later, that feels like it's years later, we're back in this institution, and I think it's a reminder of the fact that our lives have been upended. Everyone's lives have been upended. I don't think if anybody thought that we would be living in a world where people were asked to stay home, where they couldn't interact, where schools were forced to be closed, where businesses were closed, where we were operating in a world of fear, where we were asked to wear masks, where we're asked to keep distances, where we're dealing with things that are the antithesis of who we are as people. And it's been an incredible sacrifice for everybody, but one that we have asked everybody to do for all of those who need us, for all of those who are suffering, who are infected, who need our hospital providers, our healthcare workers, those that need to be able to have the opportunity to intervene and save lives. So it's a sacrifice that we've made, but one that it's difficult to reckon with and catch up with. And I'm happy that we're all in a position, and I hope you and all of your families are safe and doing well and getting through this. But I know there are a lot of people out there that have had their businesses closed that will never open up again, people that are out of money, are finding themselves going to food banks. And, while I hope we minimize the public health crisis, I think the economic challenges will probably last longer than that. And I'm just hopeful and pray that we can get through this as soon as possible and get back to our way of life. I think the one thing that we're learning here is all over the world, but especially in the United States and leading to our job in Wisconsin, is the role of government in times of crisis. One of the core responsibilities, even for my libertarian friends out there, is to keep the public safe. We need to have rule, we need to have order, and in this case, we need to protect people from getting sick and dying. And that's really been what this has been about. The fact that in such a short time we've seen over 20,000 people lose their life to this, and some of the things that we've seen in other cities, and the worst yet to come here in Wisconsin, has been tragic, especially what we see in Milwaukee. But we also know that government has a role to play. In fact, no one else can provide that role in so many cases, whether it's our local responders, local government public health agencies, whether it's the federal government providing the resources that only they can, Democrats and Republicans coming together to make sure that we can try to get those resources to intervene, to manage this crisis. And state government needs to step up and play its role too. We've seen state after state do this, and I think in our equation here in Wisconsin, while our politics are dysfunctional and at times may be broken, the public is looking to elected officials to lead. There's a fear out there. There's a scare. People are scared. There's uncertainty. And more than ever right now, they're looking for leadership and not politics. We can get up and live to fight another day on the issues that we debate over time, but the reality is the thing that we need to best do is what can state government do right now, working with local government, working with the private sector, working with hospitals, working with the federal government to play a role in best supporting the public, best addressing the public health crisis, best supporting the economy, best providing the supports to people whose lives have been upended. And I really ask all of you, it's just like all of us are adjusting to what's happened, what we're dealing with, things that we never imagined, things that are decisions that are being made that are moving faster than our ability and the public's ability to deal with it. I ask all of us to check our own ideology and our own barriers to understand that not just today, but in the future, we're going to need to act and probably go beyond those things, because only state government can in some cases. Only the federal government can. And I'm not asking anybody to compromise their values or, so I said I would call my parents halfway here. Sorry about that. But we need to, I would hope that this moment calls for something bigger, and that if we need to act again, we will. I'll remind folks that sometimes and I want to thank all of you as well, because I've seen you on social media, I've seen you as communicators, I've seen you as leaders in your community trying to answer questions, trying to share the information that what's happening, what people can do, how to connect with unemployment, how to connect with other services, and I've seen all of you serving your districts, and I think that's one of our key responsibilities. But I know that as elected officials, we all want to do more. Right? We want to be able to do this and fix this, and we talk to people and we wish we can do it, but I want to remind you that in a crisis like this, the legislature has a role, but we're not the administrator. In our branches of government, there is only one executive, and we defer to the executive to manage the crisis. And the decisions that were hard to imagine a month ago need to be evaluated in this crisis. And so when we had the governor act early to close schools, when we had the governor act early to close certain businesses, when that governor act early to require people to stay at home and to put different protections in, is because his agencies and his bureaucracy, that many of them who are civil servants, who are charged and tasked with these responsibilities, that's their responsibility. And we should make sure that we are listening, enabling, supporting, and giving them the flexibility necessary for them to manage this crisis. Even though I have ideas and people are like, you need to do this, and I'm like, well, that's more of an administrative function. And I ask all of you, if you have those questions and concerns, to interact and ask them. But the reality is, I really hope, especially in the coming weeks when we talk about the flexibility that's needed, if we think that this emergency or this crisis is going to be over with on May 11th, I think we're wrong. And I think we're going to need to have the executive branch still have the power or some power or the ability to do some things that are necessary that the emergency powers gave them. Because I think the sooner we can manage the health crisis, the sooner we can address the economic crisis. But that doesn't mean just lifting everything. That means something organized, structured, and reliance on evidence and recommendations, not just by lawmakers. So Governor Evers acted, the federal government acted, bipartisan, While there were debates going on that may have sounded partisan, they largely found a way to come together. Of course, it's easier to do that when you have unlimited money, as opposed to us. But over the past 2 weeks, I think legislative leaders have worked to arrive at today. And in many ways, I don't think any of us can ignore that this is not a place that we have been. Our politics have tended to be toxic, filled with resentment, divided, and I think there are questions, even today with some last-minute amendments, that get at the trust issue, the motivation issue, as we learn to adhere to what I said needs to be done. That there should be nothing that responds to a public health crisis that is partisan. When people are looking for leadership and direction, they do not want to see people fighting and trying to screw people over or trying to play games. They want to see us arrive at the things that need to be done, and we can have honest disagreements on the scope of that and how to do things going forward. And so the governor introduced the package. The legislative Dems put out their priorities. Legislative Republicans responded. We had discussions. We talked soberly, not angrily. We listened. We discussed. We proposed. We removed things. We advocated. There was some compromise. I realize we're in the minority. That's why I always say the majority gets their way, but the minority gets their say. And I'll say this. I think there was the speaker on your behalf. A lot of times I would ask questions, and he would tell me where a lot of you were at. We all represent different areas, impacted differently, some quicker, some not as quick, some more rural, some urban. Some of you are a little more libertarian. Some of you are struggling more with the role of government. And we debated and discussed a lot of these questions when we evaluated, what kind of response we could come up with. And I know there are some things included in there that I was happy to see, but I know some of you were perhaps squirmish on, and obviously there's things we don't like. We voted against the CNA bill. We stood up to an override. I still don't think it's good policy, but I understand that I came here today not to look for reasons to vote against something, but to try to get behind something that demonstrates that we need to act, we can act, that does at least what we have to do right now, that the public has asked for, and then also encourage us to follow my words about being willing to come back, being to do the things that we actually need to do, that need to get done when we find out how much money we have in May with the new revenue report, when we find out what federal money can go towards or not go towards. Because all of the things that the governor requested and that legislative Democrats put forward are aimed at addressing issues that aren't going to go away. There are going to be an urgent need. They are going to have policies that better support the economy, that better support individuals whose lives have been transformed. And so I would say this. The speaker and I have not always gotten along. In my discussion here is that it was a different discussion. I think it was a recognition that the moment we're in is different and that the politics need to be different as well, and that we needed to be as removed as possible from politics. That being said, I'm not saying we aren't going to have debates about the future handling of this crisis, but I will remind everybody what people want from their elected leaders. And there was, I appreciate some of what took place as a way to come back to the table, and I guess that's my big ask here. And I'm hopeful that the urgency of the moment allows us to continue as we go forward. I, of course, thought about my comments driving in today, and maybe bad habits are tough to escape. There was a lot of things that didn't get included that we would have liked to have seen, but we reached an agreement that there had to be an end and that some of these things would have to be taken up another day. We knew when we had a draft there would be technical glitches that we had to do. I was disappointed that we got an amendment that had changes that differed, that I would say were broader than technical changes, because that was the same kind of thing that we've seen when this place is not running well, when it is more about politics, where the majority has their way and the minority doesn't have their say. And so, minutes before coming on the floor to be trying to sit on a call, listening to the Fiscal Bureau, trying to summarize some changes that, the Speaker can tell us what the intent was, but, there were some things that were changed, not in ways that I thought were necessarily good, but still ways that are limited to this period. Which obviously doesn't dramatically change what happened. But, look, it was interest group politics. There were requests made. There were changes made. I got those calls too. But that's also the same kind of politics that should be left out of this, or we should get that information sooner, or we should have them weigh in sooner. And so that salted, I think, a little bit about the positive part of today. I don't think one piece of legislation can begin addressing the magnitude of this current moment, but we need to act, and we are acting. There's provisions in this bill that will help Wisconsin families in a substantial way. We know, because it's the first thing we heard from small businesses that were forced to close and workers that were laid off, that it'll help unemployed workers receive immediate assistance facing challenges that were unimaginable. We know that suspending the 1-week waiting period and having it retroactive to the first week, covered 100% by the federal government, that's a good deal for our state and for our workers, and doing that before Friday allows us to maximize that. We know that the decisions related to waivers and the medical assistance percentage allows the state to get much needed money, given that there is going to be an increased demand on our system. We know a number of the changes, although it got narrowed, related to workers' comp, related to things that are ultimately aimed at providing additional supports to those who are impacted are included in this bill. And those are positives. Outside, in fact, of the CNA bill and probably some of the bad changes you guys just made, the worst parts of the package are things that are not included. And that's why my initial pitch to you guys was to not be against coming back, because there will be a need, and many of the issues brought up are reflective of that need. And so I'm grateful that there's been some breaking down of some of the barriers that have slowed our progress, but I refuse to admit this is all we can do as a state, and there's so much more we need to be doing. The uncertainty, there are things that are happening now that we couldn't think of a month ago. The governor, if he was going to do a proposal today, it would probably be different than what was a month ago. And when we look at what the beginning of May looks like, when the emergency orders run out, we don't know what's going to be happening either. And so it's impossible to act today and say this is the last day and we're addressing any potential challenge we know, because we don't know what those are. And so I think with that kind of uncertainty, we need to be stand ready to go, and this can't be our last day on the floor to deal with this crisis, even if it's only the crisis. And so with the issues the state faces ever-changing, we need to be prepared to act. And just like I asked you to suspend your hardened political beliefs, I asked you to be prepared to come back. We proposed some amendments today. We didn't discuss them, but I know all of you spent a lot of time going through those and considering the merits before your vote against. But those are things that are also important for us to address. We have time now to address how we're going to hold 3 elections going forward. I think everybody can recognize that I'm not saying the choices were easy. Postponing election, having an election that makes people choose between their health and voting is not a good place to be in. And we can't do anything about that, but we can learn. I think the images from that will scar us for a while, related to long lines, potential increased transmission. But now we have the opportunity to make sure that doesn't happen again. And we have a proposal that we included in the motion to do mail-only balloting just for this year, just like we've suspended things. And maybe it doesn't have to look like that. Maybe we have a hearing on that bill, find out what's possible, what's not. Hear about the experience in the Utahs and Oregon and Washington who've had this for some time about what's possible. Or maybe you guys aren't ready to do that, and we look at other ways to ensure that we better get ballots out there. But we have time to act, and just saying what happened last Tuesday is acceptable is not acceptable. We can't do that again. And I understand that it was hard. There were tough decisions to make. We needed to act, and it was chaos. But people shouldn't be forced to choose between health and their right to vote. And I would hate to see a virus weaponized in the future if we're facing any kind of health scare or uncertainty. So that was put out forward today in case it's our last day, and I don't think it should be the end of the discussion, even though that amendment failed. There are positive provisions, as I mentioned in the bill, but they're written to the current order. That means they cover this period, which may be the most important period, but they expire with the order on May 11th. And I get it. It may be the only way you were willing to go along with some of those is that they ended. But the problem isn't going to go away. The need isn't going to go away. And so, that amendment tried to expand what those provisions were applicable to all emergency orders going forward. Because I know you guys think that 60 days is going to end and, maybe everything's going to open up again or it'll be back to freedom. But I'm not sure we're going to want that or be ready for that or if it's the best thing for our state or our economy. And I think we need to be prepared to try to figure out how to deal with that. And I would hope that some of the things that we considered that were important enough to put in this package through May 11th will be reconsidered as we go forward. And lastly, if, part of this was we have a UW system that lost a ton of revenue when they had to return room and board. Institutions around the state that are facing a massive hole that's going to lead to layoffs of faculty and staff. We know the federal bill will cover some, but there are real questions about how we carry on going forward, how we hopefully return to the fall to in-person education with an education that means something. And I'll remind people during the last recession, enrollment skyrocketed. And that's part of the problem we've seen with enrollment now. When the economy was good, people work. And when the economy's bad, they go back to school to get the skills so they can get a job. We're not providing any value if they come back and we've got broken institutions without faculty in key sectors. And so we didn't address it today, but it's not going away. I would like us to I get it. We don't know whether we have money or not. So let's come back in May when we have an idea, when maybe the federal government comes back with more stimulus. And that was one of the provisions that we included in the bill today. I know we don't have a ton of money, but we know there's demand out there, even if we have to have finance sign off on it. But we need the state to be able to be nimble and have the resources. We know there are things the federal government's not going to cover, and those are the kind of things that we put into the third amendment, recognizing that. And so we did what needed to be done today with the deadline, regarding federal money, with the things that were most important that people were bringing up related to unemployment and those people impacted and getting money in people's pockets, with doing some of the work share programs, which was a good idea to allow some flexibility because the more people that we can keep employed, even at reduced hours, the more likely they're going to be able to ride this out and be sustained. I think that was good stuff. But the reality is so many things fall short of, I think, the things that we are going to need to address. And I really, really hope that we come back. So with that, I want to get to my thank you section, just because while all of us have been upended and it's presented new challenges, we have people that are more directly impacted, and want to thank all of those who are on the front lines fighting the pandemic day in and day out. And I think all of us see the courage and selflessness in our communities and nationally. And I'm confident that it's mirrored in the people that you know throughout your community, the healthcare professionals we know who are putting their lives on the line to save others, the public health officials doing everything possible to track things, to try to give us better information to make decisions, the first responders, the people in the grocery store, the pharmacies, some of them 18, 19 years old, right? Local business owners who are shifting their role to try to be able to get things that people need to be able to support them. The poll workers who were placed in an awful position, some of them so committed that they wanted to stand up and try to do it because they felt it was worth preserving. And lastly, I want to thank the people of Wisconsin. There's not a single person that hasn't really probably in the world been impacted. But all of the things that we talked about that were upended have been things that the public has been asked to sacrifice, that things that the public has been asked to change their way of life, to give up their way of life, to give up their funding, their way of life for each other, for our health. We do it together. We could have a free market of people, but it's not a world that I want to live in. But it's been tough, and there's been sacrifice. And so I hope as we've done this together, we recognize the benefits of some of these changes, and I think if we all keep doing what we're doing for now, and if state government and federal government and local government and the private sector continue to try to move together to do everything possible to end the healthcare crisis and help support the economy, hopefully we can get back on track sooner than later. So with that, I hope we have bipartisan support as much as possible for today's action, and appreciate you taking the time to listen, and let's not write off coming back for the things that really need to get done.
With that, we will go to the Speaker and then to the vote on the legislation. The Speaker has the floor.
Boy, it's been a tough few weeks, hasn't it? As we miss the chance to see our friends and our family, to socialize in ways that we've literally been accustomed to our entire lives, we know that days seem like weeks and weeks seem like months, and many of us wonder, when will it end? So it's interesting that when we began this pandemic, decisions were made, and decisions have been made every day since, and I think by and large people are trying to do the best that they can. As all of us spend more time at home, we're watching TV, right? We're playing games with family. We're trying to do things that have some semblance of normalcy in our lives. Well, for those of us who are involved in politics, you watch movies, and I just recently watched Lincoln. And it reminded me that during a really tumultuous time in our nation's history, what was the first thing that one of the greatest human beings who has ever lived, Abraham Lincoln, did? He brought together a team of rivals, right? That was the name of the book written by Doris Kearns Goodwin. I'm sure many of you read it, where he basically took people who were bitter enemies, who had just faced each other in a very, very disputed election, and said, for the best of our nation and the future of our country, I'm going to bring the brightest people together so that it's not groupthink, it's all kinds of good ideas being offered. I think that's what a leader does. A leader says we might not always agree, but we have to listen to the best ideas and sift through those. So just a short while ago, we had our last session day. And what we did on that last session day, which seems like eons ago, was pass legislation that reduced the cost of prescription drugs, helped our farmers, and funded clean water initiatives. Things that, by and large, were bipartisan, just like 90% of the bills that we pass in this chamber are. And that doesn't matter what the governor is. It doesn't matter if it's Governor Walker, when we were well over 90%, or Governor Evers, when we're well over 90%. The best ideas naturally rise. A lot of the remarks that I'm going to say might echo what my colleague from the 54 said, because a lot of the things that we're going through don't know party, they don't know region, they don't know ethnicity. They're just all of us going through it as one humanity. So what we're doing today, like every day, is the good work for the people of Wisconsin. We're here today to do our jobs because so many people around the state during this crisis have been doing theirs. For a lot of Wisconsinites, their job was to stay home. And we know that our unemployment rate, just announced recently, upwards of 20%. Nationally, they're predicting a 25% unemployment rate, rivaling that of the Great Depression. So many of us lived through the Great Recession and thought that would probably be one of the worst times of our lives. And here we are, going through something that's worse. Not only are family and friends doing their job staying home, but the doctors and the nurses and the 911 dispatchers, the EMTs, the first responders, people who literally bring the takeout food or help us at the grocery store. There are a lot of people who are going above and beyond to make sure that we get what we need. So for the past few weeks, as the gentleman from the 54 said, legislators from both parties and in both chambers have been working together to craft the package that we are going to vote on today to help Wisconsinites deal with the virus. I want to thank the gentleman from the 54th, Senator Schilling and Majority Leader Fitzgerald, for all of the work, all of the conference calls that we have done to put this package together. We took ideas from Governor Evers, from Democrats, from Republicans, from workers and business owners, from healthcare providers, and just from people who emailed us or sent us a message saying they needed our help. Before I describe what's in the bill, let me just take a minute to say directly to the citizens of Wisconsin who are afraid of the virus and are afraid of what's going to happen in our state. We hear you, and we understand what's happening to you and your family and our state. So let's just begin quickly by starting with a few facts. As of yesterday, according to the Wisconsin Hospital Association dashboard, 431 people are hospitalized in our state with the coronavirus. If you haven't already heard about it, you can go to WHA.org, and they have a really informative dashboard that shows regions of the states, hospitalizations, those who are recovering, and more data is going to be coming on there in the oncoming days. So DHS says COVID-19 has claimed 154 lives in Wisconsin. 154 families are grieving the loss of a loved one, and they're doing so without a funeral or a public memorial or even a celebration of life. In our job, we have the chance to get to know hundreds and thousands of people in our districts. Our job is naturally to network and to outreach. So in my own district, as an example, in Racine County, we have had 5 people who succumbed to the coronavirus. Now there's almost 200,000 people who live in Racine County, and I know 2 of the 5 personally. One gentleman's name was John Knutson. He was a former chair of the Racine County Republican Party, a very well-known attorney, had a loving family, and he was a dedicated community activist. Another one that I knew personally was from my own hometown of Burlington. It was one of my mother-in-law's best friends, somebody who was the light of their family's lives, inspirational, and a retired nurse. Those are the stories that we are going to keep hearing about the real-world consequences of decisions that we're making today, but a virus that none of us has the ability to have much of an impact on. Each of those people left behind a wonderful family, and they are grieving, as are far too many people in our state, at a time when you can't give them a hug, you can't say, I understand. All you can do is try to send them a message and maybe have a Zoom conference call to try to be able to show that you care. I know I speak for each and every member of this body, regardless of party or geography, that you join me in offering our condolences to every single person who is either struggling today for their lives or for the people who've already passed away from this deadly virus. Now, while those families are experiencing a deep and meaningful loss, others are experiencing a different kind of loss, the loss of employment. Since March 12th, there have been more than 385,000 people who have filed an initial unemployment claim. Compare that to the same period last year, where there were only 27,000. Just think of that, 27,000 people a year ago. Now it's 385,000 people. We have heard countless stories of people who are struggling to get access to the resources they need, and many of those people who are asking for help have never filed for unemployment before. In the past, when someone lost a job, even in the middle of the Great Recession, they had the ability to go out immediately and begin to look for employment. Now they have not even gotten that as an option. Now, some people say, why is this happening? Now, that's been on the minds of a lot of people, especially those of faith. Now is the time for us to really remember that God is in control, and not to ask why this is happening, but what we are able to do about it. We must take action, and that's why we're here today. I know it's been a while because we wanted to make sure we clearly understood what the federal government had done in the different acts of Congress that have been passed by the Congress and signed by President Trump. We now have a very clear understanding of what the CARES Act does and how it's going to help Wisconsinites. We know unemployed Wisconsinites are now going to qualify for temporary enhanced benefits. We know businesses have the chance to apply for the payroll protection loans. We know state government is going to get over $2 billion to help us fight the virus and also to help deal with the economic toll it is taking on our state. We must be smart as we fight the virus, not only in the way we deal with that crisis, but also in how we choose to respond. The legislation before us today has 55 different provisions, each designed to help a different segment of Wisconsin. Let me just take a minute to talk about a few of the major provisions encompassed in the bill. Number one, we set aside $75 million in the Joint Finance Committee's account where the administration has the ability to come and ask for help for areas where federal funding does not obviously look like it will be able to take care of the issues we are seeing. I think that the vast majority of issues will be able to be addressed by the $2 billion appropriated by the federal government, but we have set that money aside just to make sure if there is anything that falls through the cracks, we can help to ensure that that gets funded. As my colleague from the 54 said, we are suspending the 1 week waiting period until the first week of February in 2021. We are taking this vote today to qualify Wisconsin for extra federal resources that are going to help to fund our welfare system. We're allowing local governments to defer property tax payments to help both homeowners and businesses who are struggling due to COVID-19. We're easing the regulatory burden for healthcare professionals and emergency responders so that they have the ability to provide the help to provide care for those who are afflicted. We're allowing pharmacists to extend prescriptions so that people don't have to travel as often to the store. We're ensuring that testing for COVID-19 is not subject to a deductible or a copayment. It is no cost to the person being tested. We're making sure that for those who do suffer from the coronavirus, they are not allowed in any way to be discriminated against when they apply for any sort of a job or health insurance in the future. We're expanding senior care to cover all vaccines that are not covered by Medicare. We're allowing the testing requirements for school districts to be waived for this year. And as we think about eventually transitioning out of the stay-at-home order, we're also directing WEDC to come back to us with plans that would help utilize the federal resources to help industries and workers who are struggling all across Wisconsin. Now, we know that the amendments offered by my colleagues that were just tabled minutes ago spent almost $100 million of state resources. We also know by the action that we're taking in the underlying bill that that wasn't necessary. Because as I just said, we have $75 million in the Joint Finance Committee appropriation. So if the administration sees a need where they believe state resources are better utilized than the dollars from the federal government, they can come and make a proper request so that it's formally vetted as opposed to just giving a blank check. Now, no one knows what the long-term impact of the virus will be on our nation. We do know, however, that the short-term impact on the Wisconsin budget is going to be extremely challenging. For those who might want us to spend hundreds of millions of dollars, or as Governor Evers requested a month ago, blank checks with no limit on the amount of state dollars that he'd be able to spend with no one looking over his shoulder, there are going to be hard decisions for us to make, since unlike the federal government, we can't print money and we don't have the ability to borrow money for operations. So we have to be just like a family where the credit card use is limited. Just like everybody is struggling with right now, we've got to make really wise decisions, think before we spend, and make investments that are wise, but not wanton. In the coming weeks and months, the economic carnage that this virus has waged on the state is going to be more obvious and clear. One of the provisions that we looked at putting in, which we agreed after feedback from my Democratic colleagues, we wanted to freeze spending in the second year of our 2-year budget so that we would have the ability to assess How are the revenues coming in? Are people still able to pay their income and sales taxes, which is what funds state government? I still think that would have been incredibly wise for us to do, because our budget is going to give automatic increases to folks with money that we don't have. My Democratic colleagues objected to that and want us to go ahead and give the raises. So we will know, there is no doubt in my mind, that we are going to have to come back at some point and deal with the economic carnage that is caused by our decision to not freeze spending and instead increase spending in the short term, knowing that we are going to have to come back and cut it later because we refuse to make the hard decision today. So as I said earlier, we've all been home and we've had the ability to watch more movies than normal and perhaps read more than normal. So I just finished a book not too long ago, talking about the founding of our republic. And it reminded me of a story, one of my favorite ones actually, where Ben Franklin was walking out of Independence Hall after the Constitutional Convention in 1787, when someone shouted out as he walked out of the hall, "Doctor, what have we got, a republic or a monarchy?" And the answer he gave, "A republic if we can keep it." And that is the foundational question that we have to begin to think of ourselves and where we are as Americans and as Wisconsinites. To those who worry about the foundations of our republic, I say keep the faith. We will return to normal. We will get through this. We are an incredibly resilient state, an amazing nation, and this is going to, in the end, my hope, bring us closer together, maybe not physically, but bring us closer together as a nation, as opposed to drive us apart. So the work we are doing here today will help our constituents, and I urge everyone in both parties to vote for this bill. It would be a great message that we could send to show that we are able to unanimously pass a really important piece of legislation in a very contentious time when people on social media are trying to do everything they can to drive folks apart. Let's remember why we're here, and that's to bring people together with good ideas. So I really want to say, lastly, a big thank you. This virtual session was really challenging to put together. For those of you who are at home, my hope is this will be our last virtual session, because the people of Wisconsin elect us to be in the same place to debate and interact and have the ability to listen and advocate on their behalf. But for the people who made this a reality, the Legislative Technical Services Bureau, the LTSB, they have been spectacular. We often brag about how good the staff, the public servants who work for the legislature are, and we have often seen the Fiscal Bureau and the Reference Bureau and the Audit Bureau, some people who have more of a public face, and we often praise them, the folks who are here behind me, the chief clerk staff. But we often don't think about the background, and that's the people who really have made this session possible. So why don't we give a huge round of applause to the LTSB for the great job that they are doing. Thank you. So while they are working hard here today, they have really also been doing an exceptional job keeping us connected to each other, to our districts, to our constituents, to our staff, and that will continue as we move forward. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I hope that we get a unanimous vote, and I would urge everyone to vote aye when your name is called. Thank you.
Question is, having been read 3 times, shall Assembly Bill 1038 be passed? The clerk will open and call the roll.
Allen.
Aye.
Allen, aye. Anderson.
Aye.
Anderson, aye. Billings. Billings. Billings.
Aye.
Billings, aye. Bowen.
Aye.
Bowen, aye. Branson.
Aye.
Branson, aye. Brostoff.
No.
Brostoff, no. Cabrera.
No.
Cabrera, no. Considine.
Aye.
Considine, aye. Crowley.
Aye.
Crowley, aye. Doyle.
Aye.
Doyle, aye. Duco.
Aye.
Duco, aye. Edming.
Aye.
Edming, aye. Emerson.
Aye.
Emerson, aye. Fields.
Aye.
Fields, aye. Goyke.
Aye.
Goyke, aye. Grzinski.
Aye.
Grzinski, aye. Haywood.
Aye.
Haywood, aye. Hebel.
Aye.
Hebel, aye. Hesselbein.
Aye.
Hesselbein, aye. Horlacher.
Aye.
Horlacher, aye. Kitchens.
Aye.
Kitchens, aye. Colsty.
Yes.
Colsty, aye. Culp.
Aye.
Culp, aye. Mako.
Aye.
Mako, aye. Magnifici.
Aye.
Magnifici, aye. McGuire.
Aye.
McGuire, aye. Myers.
Aye.
Myers, aye. Milroy.
Aye.
Milroy, aye. Myers, Y.
Aye.
Myers, Y, aye. Neubauer.
Aye.
Neubauer, aye. Nealon.
Aye.
Nealon, aye. Onstead.
Aye.
Onstead, aye. Ott.
Aye.
Ott, aye. Petrick.
Aye.
Petrick, aye. Pope.
Aye.
Pope, aye. Pronchinsky. Pronchinsky. Aye. Quinn.
Aye.
Quinn, aye. Reamer. Reamer.
Reamer, aye.
Reamer,
Reamer,
aye.
aye.
Rorecast.
Aye.
Rorecast, aye. San Filippo.
Aye.
San Filippo, aye. Sergeant.
Aye.
Sergeant, aye. Shanklin. Shanklin.
Aye.
Shanklin, aye. Sinicki.
Aye.
Sinicki, aye. Skoronsky.
Aye.
Skoronsky, aye. Spreitzer.
Aye.
Spreitzer, aye. Stubbs.
Aye.
Stubbs, aye. Stuck.
Aye.
Stuck, aye. Subeck.
Aye.
Subeck, aye. Tauken.
Aye.
Tauken, aye. Taylor.
Aye.
Taylor, aye. Vandermeer.
Aye.
Vandermeer, aye. Vining.
Aye.
Vining, aye. Vorpagel.
Aye.
Vorpagel, aye. Ruink.
Aye.
Ruink, aye. Wickers.
Aye.
Wickers, aye. Zamaripa.
Aye.
Zamaripa, aye. Zimmerman.
Aye.
Zimmerman, aye. August.
Aye.
August, aye. Ballwig. Ballwig, aye. Bourne. Bourne, aye. Brooks. Brooks, aye. Dietrich. Dietrich, aye. Falkowski. Falkowski, aye. Gundrum. Gundrum, aye. Hintz. Hintz, aye. Hutton. Hutton, aye. Jagler. Jagler, aye. James. James, aye. Katzma. Katzma, aye. Kirkman. Kirkman, aye. Knodel. Knodel, aye. Krug. Krug, aye. Kuklich. Kuklich, aye. Kurtz. Kurtz, aye. Loudenbeck. Loudenbeck, aye. Murphy. Murphy, aye. Mersaw. Mersaw, aye. Novak. Novak, aye. Nygren. Nygren, aye. Oldenburg. Oldenburg, aye. Peterson. Peterson, aye. Plummer. Plummer, aye. Rampton. Rampton, aye. Rodriguez. Rodriguez, aye. Schra. Schra, aye. Snyder. Snyder, aye. Sortwell. Sortwell, aye. Spiros. Spiros, aye. Staffolds. Staffolds, aye. Steffen. Steffen, aye. Steinecke. Steinecke, aye. Summerfield. Summerfield, aye. Swearingen. Swearingen, aye. Thiesfeld. Thiesfeld, aye. Tittle. Tittle, aye. Trannell. Trannell, aye. Tussler. Tussler, aye. Whitkey. Whitkey, aye. Speaker. Speaker, aye.
Clerk will close the roll. There are 97 ayes, 2 noes. The bill is passed. Gentleman from the 5th, Representative Steinecke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that the rules be suspended and Assembly Bill 1038 be immediately messaged to the Senate.
Gentleman from the 5th, I ask unanimous consent that the rules be suspended and Assembly Bill 1038 be immediately messaged to the State Senate. Is there any objection? Hearing none, it is in the Senate. We're on the 15th order of business on today's calendar, adjournment. Before I go to the gentleman from the 5th, I want to remind members that are physically present as we adjourn to make sure that you're maintaining your social distancing as you make your way out of the chamber. We're using the front of the chamber here as our exit. And with that, we will go to the gentleman from the 5th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Assembly Extraordinary Session stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Thursday, April 16th.
Question is, shall the Assembly stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Thursday, April 16th? All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Wisconsin State Assembly stands adjourned.
Hi, I'm John Henkes, President of Wisconsinite Public Affairs Network, and I'm speaking to you today to ask for your financial support. For 14 years, Wisconsin Eye has provided uninterrupted, gavel-to-gavel live coverage from our state capitol, the legislature, the Supreme Court, the governor's office. We're proud to continue to do that and continue through this time of crisis with important coverage. We are 100% committed to bringing these important meetings into your home or place of work. We've created online pathways that allow us to connect you live with these important events. But Wisconsin Eye needs your help to do so. At this time, we are facing unprecedented staffing, technical, and financial challenge. So if you rely on our coverage to stay informed on issues you care and need to know about, I ask that you consider a one-time charitable gift today to help us through this challenge. Whether you're following the DHS briefings, the Wisconsin Elections Commission, or leadership briefings from the state capitol, or any of the timely interviews conducted by our senior producer, Steve Walters, we could use your support today. If just a fraction of the thousands who value Wisconsin Eye coverage say yes with a gift of any size, it will provide a huge boost. So thank you. To donate, please text WISI to 44321. That's WISEYE to 44321, or visit wiseye.org/donate. WISEYE.org/donate. Or you could send a check to 122 West Washington Avenue, Suite 200, Madison, Wisconsin, 53703. Again, thank you so much. Please be safe. Stay optimistic. We are Wisconsin.